Okay, welcome to week 3 of Upon Further Review, our weekly Butler County area high school football show. We're brought to you weekly by our sponsors, Troy Allen Chevrolet Buick GMC, the Butler Health System, and Conlon Tarker. My name is John Enrietto. I am the sports editor of the Butler Eagle. I am joined by sports writer Mike Kilroy and sports writer Derek Pyda. Mike will be our host this week, so Mike, I will turn the program over to you, and you can run it from here.
All right, guys. Well, we had an interesting second week of the season. I don't think we had too many surprises, but I want to get your thoughts on that first. What game stuck out to you guys as something you want to discuss on the program here today? We'll start with you, Derek.
All right. Well, first I want to go with the Union AC Valley victory over Keystone. I actually picked Union AC to win that game, but I picked them to win kind of in a shootout. And we knew they could play offense with Tanner Merwin running the show. He's a great athlete. But they played Keystone last week. They have a great running back in Nick Weaver, and they held Keystone to 7 points and won 14-7. I think it's very important for them because they know their offense can put up points against a lot of teams. But to win a defensive struggle like that, they held Weaver to 35 yards rushing. He did have 71 yards receiving and a receiving touchdown. But he's capable of having a big game on the ground. And the fact that they held him to 35 yards, I think that's huge for Union AC Valley. I think it obviously bodes well moving forward to show that they can win if they need to a low-scoring game. So kudos to the
John.
Knights.
Yeah, I was impressed with them for sure. John, what are your quick takeaways from week 2?
I would agree with Derek certainly on East Valley Union, but I'm going to go over to Seneca Valley Hempfield. The fact was Seneca Valley's first game, a 38-0 victory, and the play of their quarterback, Dustin Horn, in his debut, 11 of 14, 202 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's outstanding for a first-time a varsity starter at that position.
Yeah, I'm going to go again with Karns City. They took it to Du Bois. They're using 8 million running backs again like they always do. We're going to get to that a little bit later in our over-under segment. So I like the way they're playing right now. All right, let's go to our first topic. Like I said, we're 2 weeks into the season. Some trends are starting to develop, and some teams are off to a little bit of rough starts. Some teams are off to good starts. So, John, we'll start with you. What are 2 weeks in the season? What are some trends that you're seeing in this kind of really weird season? And what are your biggest surprises? And what team that's off to a slow start do you think can maybe turn things around here by the end of the season?
Well, my biggest surprise, and it's not that I didn't think this team would be good. I just didn't know if they'd be as good as they're showing so far, and that's Karns City. Just a total package, offense, defense, special teams. They're scoring in all 3 phases. They've been dominant, really, in all 3 phases. So, again, I'm not surprised that they're winning, but I'm surprised by the fashion in how they're winning. And on the other side, if I see a team that's off to a semi-start that could turn it around, I gotta say it's MONITEAU. They're 1-1, but they struggled to get past the Punxsutawney last week, only beat them by a touchdown. That's a senior-dominated team, and I expect them to gain steam as the season goes on.
Derek, same question to you. What kind of trends are you seeing, and what kind of surprises do you feel like we're seeing so far 2 weeks into the season?
Well, I was going to talk a little bit about Seneca Valley, but John kind of already done that. The play of their quarterback, yeah, he's a senior, but he's a first-year starter. Great game, 4 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing. Dustin Horn, his name is. But John already talked about that, so I want to mention Mars's defense. We knew that Teddy Ruffner was going to be the go-to guy in their backfield. We knew he was going to get his yards and his touchdowns. But the fact that Mars played a very potent Highlands offense last week and held them to 7 points, that really bodes well for them moving forward because it shows that when they need to, and they had to because they only scored 12 points themselves, when they have to shut down a potent offense, they can do it. And we're talking about a defense that has just 2 starters back from last year. So 9 new starters, and they went up against a high-powered offense and shut Highlands down, held them to just 7 points. As far as the team that got off to a slow start, I will agree with John that MONITEAU has the best chance of our slow starting teams to do something, but they still have to play Karns City, who just beat them by 23 points 2 weeks ago. They still have Central CLARION twice. They still have Brookville twice, and I think they got Du Bois once. And Du Bois obviously isn't a great team, but you know they're going to have the numbers advantage on Monitauk, because DuBois is basically like a 4A team. So I'd say Monitauk, but they're going to get back to the point where they can have a winning season. They're 1-1 right now. They're going to have to beat some really good teams down the stretch here in the next month or so. So I'll agree with John, but, keep your eye out, because they're going to have some really tough games coming up, the Monitauk Warriors.
The biggest surprise for me isn't a team per se. It's players, a group of players, the young quarterbacks that we're seeing now in this county, how well they are playing. Zip Mokel at Slippery Rock. You mentioned the Seneca Valley quarterback, Joey Prentice at North Catholic. The next kind of generation, so to speak, of quarterbacks in this county is off to a great start. It's going to be exciting to see what they bring to the table here as the season goes on. It's exciting to see them succeed, and the surprise, the team off to a slow start. I agree with you guys with Monitauk, but another team I think can turn things around as the season goes on is KNOCH. We've seen this before, KNOCH getting off to slow starts, trying to get used to that offense. They do have an experienced offensive line, so I think that they can start there once these skill position players start to get a little bit more of a feel for what this complicated triple option attack. I think you're going to see them play better down the stretch. At least I know we all hope so, because when KNOCH plays well, it's fun. It's fun to watch that offense operate. John, you've seen it. When that offense is ticking, it's fun to watch. So
there's no doubt about that. But one thing, I'm not sure how serious the injury is yet. I haven't talked to not Coach Brandon Maurer yet this week, but I know that Keegan Frazier got banged up last week up at Greensburg Salem. He's their prime back. I'm not sure what his situation is. I'll find it out later on, but that could be a big factor in this week's game.
Okay, now our over-under segment. As you can see, my background is Karns City. That's where it was Friday. Second straight week, they had 10 guys carry the ball. It's kind of a tradition there. It's kind of interchangeable parts with Karns City. They like rotating guys in and out. This year, it doesn't appear like they have a featured back per se. You had Jace Anderson last week get 95 yards and 6 carries in the first half. He didn't touch the ball in the second half. So the over-under, I think, is an interesting one. See what you guys think of this. I had a hard time setting it because I couldn't really get a really good grasp on the numbers here. I tried to do quick numbers in my head, quick math in my head. But we're going to see over-under 5.5 players for Karns City this year with 300 or more rushing yards by the time the season's over. This is regular season, by the way. Derek, what do you think? The over/under 5.5 players with 300 yards. That's a lot, but the way they've been rotating backs, they have a few guys that are capable of turning up some yards.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you're taking the over, you're basically saying they're going to have at least 6 guys with 300 yards. And
yep.
It's certainly not out of the question for Karns City to do something like that, because they do like to spread the ball around with the ground game. But I'm going to go under here. I'm going to say 5. And that would be the under, because they didn't show it last week, because I think they only attempted 3 passes last week. They showed in week 1 in Monitauk that they can throw the ball. I think they will throw the ball a little bit more this year than they.
Okay, I lost you guys. I lost you, Derek.
Yeah, I lost
Derek.
Too.
Derek froze up.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Derek is in suspended animation.
He is. Modern technology. What can you say?
What happened to Derek? Derek's frozen.
Well, let me make my pick here on this over-under.
Go for it. Maybe we can get Derek back here.
Maybe we'll get him back. Yeah, I'm going to go slightly under, but only slightly. This is an excellent choice for over-unders. A lot of thought goes into this one. I think Karns City's schedule is going to get a little bit tougher. They're going to have some tough games coming up, which means I think they're going to probably – that running back situation is probably going to sort it. It's going to sort it itself out a little bit, So I think we'll get down to maybe 3-4 backs who are going to be consistently carrying the ball for them. But if they do have a couple more blowout wins, you're going to see some of those other backs get back in. So this is a tough one, but I'm going to go slightly under on that one.
See, I'm going over. I'm going over for, well, really 2 reasons. They're 2 quarterbacks. Braden Christie and Eric Boer can both run the ball. And I think they're going to sneak over that 300 mark. And I think you're going to have 4 other backs with 300 more yards. So that's why I'm going over. I'm going 6. because Braden Christie showed last week he's a very capable runner, very patient runner. That touchdown run he did a great job following his blocks down the left sideline into the end zone. Eric Brewer can run a little bit too. He had a 16-yard touchdown run on a scramble. So I think Karns City is going to keep rotating those guys at quarterback, and I think they're going to keep rotating those guys at running back because they're going to be fresh in the fourth quarter of these games. Those guys, they were still running hard even in a 55-14 win. So I'm going to go 6 or 7 really. I'm going to go over on our over and unders. So I don't know. Should we go on to the picks, or are we getting Derek back? Or
I think we lost Derek. He's floating in cyberspace somewhere. I mean, I don't even see him on my screen now. Do you see him on your screen anywhere?
No, he's gone. He completely left the building. He's like Elvis.
He's in cyberspace. I'm floating around somewhere.
He's like Elvis. He left the building. So I don't know.
Yeah, let's move on to our pick segment, and if Derek catches back up, he'll catch back up. Maybe I'll pop in my room here. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, move on.
Yeah, maybe you guys can try to social distance during your picks. Maybe rotate in and out. Okay. Well, prediction time then. We'll go with obviously with you, John, since you're the only one here right now.
That's right.
NORWIN at Seneca Valley. Seneca Valley, of course, had that big debut 38-0 win this week. Will you see them? You see them kind of carrying that momentum into this week against NORWIN?
Well, first home game for Seneca Valley. That's number one. And the other thing is they're playing a NORWIN team that lost to Hempfield 2 weeks ago, 28-14. And of course, you saw what the Seneca just did to Hempfield. That alone tells me it's going to be a pretty handy win for Seneca Valley. So I'm going to go with the Raiders, 34-6.
You should probably rate these down because Derek usually rates these down, and that way we don't have to rewatch this when he returns.
Yeah, mine are written down now, so I'll write down your picks. Mine are written down already.
That works great. All right. I see the same thing. I think Seneca Valley keeps rolling. I think they even build on their win last week. You predicted what, 34-6?
Yep.
I think it's going to be a little bit even more lopsided than that. I'm going to go 41-6. Seneca Valley. I think they're going to score an extra touchdown than what you predicted. All right. So we'll go with that. All right, John. Next one, we got Armstrong at KNOCH. KNOCH off to an 0-2 start. They took a tough 1-point loss last week to Greensburg-Salem. Do you think they get back on track, or do you think it's going to be another 0-3 start for the Knights?
No, I think KNOCH finds a way to win this time. This Armstrong team. Nice win in their opener, 21-7 over Indiana. They struggled last week. They didn't score against Hampton. They lost 17-0. Armstrong does have a decent quarterback in Caden Olson. He's thrown for 396 yards and 3 touchdowns. But their running game struggles to a degree. I see a low-scoring game at KNOCH, grass field. KNOCH wins 14-7.
Yeah, I think you and I are in the same wavelength here with these picks already. I see KNOCH eking one out this week. They're not going to start 0-3. I think they're going to get a win. I agree with you. It's going to be a low scoring game. I see a 20-14 KNOCH win this week
20-14?
20-14. I see a KNOCH win this week over Armstrong. So now we got PLUM at Mars. Teddy Ruffner off to a good start last week, though. He did have his 2 touchdowns, but really the story, like Derek said earlier, has been Mars's defense. They've been playing really, really well this year. I'm going to start off the pick here this week. I see Mars rolling in this one at home against PLUM. I think the defense is going to do the job again, and I think their offense is going to find a little bit more traction this week. I see Mars winning 28-7. John, what do you think about this?
Wow, we're on different wavelengths on this pick. I'm going PLUM to win a close game here. I mean, their offense, their offense has been outstanding. They blew out Greensburg-Salem, which isn't a great team, granted. 36-13. They took apart Indiana 48-10 last week. They have a quarterback named Ryan Hubner, who's 17-24 for 364 and 4 touchdowns in just 2 games. They have a freshman running back who's outstanding, who scored 4 touchdowns. I think this is a bit of a high-scoring game, back and forth type of game. I'm going with the visitors. I'm going with PLUM 28-21.
Well, we really are off on this one. Yeah. I just think at home Mars defense. I just think they're gonna come up with the convincing win this week.
Well, I hope that you're right and I'm wrong. Hopefully,
Freeport at Derry. Freeport, of course, that emotional first week. They got the win last week. Didn't go as well as the first week for them. Derry, of course, well, it got blown out by North Catholic in the first week of the season. I did not see what they did last week. John, what do you think of this one? Do you think Freeport bounces back or no?
Freeport bounces back. Dairy, apparently, they've been tough the last couple of years. Apparently, they've lost a lot. Deer Lakes blew them out last week, 31-7. And
See, I did not see that.
Yeah, and Freeport handled Deer Lake. So I'm going Freeport to bounce back, 27-14.
I was going to pick Freeport anyway. Now I'm really going to pick Freeport this week. I see them winning 27-21. All right, let's move on to North Catholic at East Allegheny. A little bit more of a challenging game this week for North Catholic after 2 weeks of dominance. John, this should be one of the better games of the week, right?
No question about it. East Allegheny and North Catholic, two teams coming off 2 blowout wins. Neither one has been challenged yet. They're going to challenge each other this week. I think tighter game, more defense on both sides. I see North Catholic winning 21-13.
Yeah, this is the real litmus test for North Catholic. The first 2 weeks, obviously, they rolled. Hard to tell really where you are when you win as big as they won. This is really the first test, really, like you said, for both teams. But I think North Catholic passes this test. I think it's going to be a little bit more high scoring because I think Joey Prentice is the real deal at quarterback for North Catholic. I think there's so many weapons around him that it's going to be kind of scary to see what they do this year. So I see a 35-24 win for North Catholic this week over East Allegheny. Now we go KARNS City at Brookville. Another really big test here for KARNS City. This is their first big opponent. They're going to play, of course, Brookville twice this season. They're off to a 2-0 start. I personally, I think KARNS City is going to keep it rolling. I really like what they got going on, like you said, on both sides of the ball. Their defense has been dominant at times. Their offense, with all those interchangeable parts, and the 2-quarterback system seems to be working. So I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. KARNS City is going to go with the same formula they have the first 2 weeks. They might throw the ball a little bit more because they might have to this week. I think Boer and Christie are going to have some passing yards. So I see KARNS City winning 35-14 this week. John, what do you see out of this one?
Yeah, I covered that KARNS City Brookville game. You remember it last year at KARNS City. That
it was a wild one.
42-41 overtime game. The controversial 2-point conversion by KC at the end of the game, whether he crossed the goal line or whether he didn't. I expect no different this year. A very similar type game. Brookville's quarterback, Jack Krug, is just going nuts. 626 yards of passing in 2 games. I mean, he's just lighting it up. But by KARNS City's defense, they've got the pass defense. I think that can at least slow him down to some degree. I expect another shootout, Mike, very similar to last year. And I agree with KARNS. I have KARNS City winning 42-35 in just another crazy game.
I have KARNS City's defense playing a little bit better because they got hurt a little bit with the pass against Du Bois, but then they made some adjustments and they shut down that passing game. They're letting the soft – their zones were a little too soft and they're finding room, but I think they really figured it out. And you got Micah Rupp back there. I think he's a difference maker in their pass defense. Plus, KARNS City can get after the quarterback. So I think it might be a little bit of a rough night for Brookville's quarterback. That's why I'm thinking their score is going to be a little bit down. But I can see that. I can see your scenario also taking place. Now we got Central Clarion at Monitaau. Central Clarion, of course, is what Clarion used to be. They have a merger with 2 other, I think 3 other schools now.
Yep.
Monitaau typically does not fare well against a Clarion team, but it is at Monitaau. But again, I like Central Clarion in this one. I think Montauk's defense is good enough to keep it close, but I think Central Clarion is going to win 28-19. John, what do you think?
Yeah, similar to your pick, Mike. Central Clarion, they're 1-1. They lost to Brookville last week in one of those shootout games. I think it was something like 49-30 or something like that. And I think Montauk is going to find the end zone a couple of times this week against them, but Clarion's offense a little bit too much. I picked Montauk to hang in, but Clarion to win 31-20.
All right, now moving on, we have our darlings, Union AC Valley. They're our darlings this year. They're off to a 2-0 start. The defense is playing well. Tanner Merwin's doing everything for them again. They got CURWENSVILLE coming to town this week. I don't know where that game is, if it's at Union or AC Valley.
Yeah. Actually, it's one of theirs homecoming. I think it's Union's homecoming, actually.
It's Union. Okay, it's at Union. John, do you think Union AC Valley can keep this train rolling?
Union AC Valley, well, I think we'll dismantle CURWENSVILLE. I don't think it's going to be a game, quite frankly. Union AC Valley, after their win over Keystone last week, I think sky's the limit for that team. I mean, I look at their schedule.
That was a real eye opener.
It really was. I picked them to roll 44-6 over Curwensville.
Yeah, I think they'll win this one handily. I don't know if they'll score 44 points, but I don't think they're going to give up more than 6, like you say. I see them winning more like 28-6. But yeah, you're going to be off to an impressive 3-0 start. That Keystone win last week was, I think everyone who knows high school football knows what a big win that was for Union AC Valley, and to hold that team to 7 points was really impressive. Now we move on to our 2 Saturday games. We got Hickory at Slippery Rock. Slippery Rock coming off a tough loss to Grove City. Hickory's rolling. John, how you see this one playing out?
This Hickory team is loaded. I mean, they
are.
They shut out Brownsville in their opener. They handled. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong notes here. They handled Grove City in their opener, 41-21, and then they pounded Sharon for 48-16 last week. Michael Henwood, their quarterback, 475 yards and 5 touchdowns through 2 games. They've got 2 outstanding running backs, 2 great receivers. Their offense is just going to be a little bit too much for Slip Rock, I think. Slip Rock scores. Hickory just plain outscores them. They win 37-21.
Yeah, Hickory, talk about a team that, like you said, is loaded. They can hurt you in so many different ways. Slippery Rock has played pretty well this year, but sorry, my daughter is stirring over here, but she wants to make her pick. No? Okay.
Okay.
We'll go with Hickory. I think 35-21 would be the final. And now our last.
You know
game,
what? You know what, Mike? Let me back you up. I need your score on the Union East Valley. I think I missed that. What was your score?
I said 28-6.
28-6. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Go right ahead.
All right.
There we go. Special guest.
Special guest. Since we lost Derek, Emma's going to make Derek's been replaced. Oh, hey, you're disappearing. All right. Last game of the day. Last game of the night. We got Butler. Butler at ERIE. Butler took I hate to say it, but they took a step back last week in that loss to McDowell. What do you see, John? I know you talked to Eric Christie a lot. Do you think that they're going to kind of bounce back? Oh, bless you. I think they're going to bounce back this week and try to get the sour taste out of their mouth from last week?
You know what? This game will come down to one thing and one thing only. Well, one thing primarily, and that's Butler's ability to wrap up tackles. McDowell broke a lot of tackles last week. It cost Butler. I talked to Eric Christie last night. This would be a Sunday night, and he mentioned ERIE has a lot of speed, a lot of breakaway threats. If Butler wraps up, I think they can contain ERIE, and I think they can beat ERIE. But if Butler's tackling is as shoddy as it was last week, they're going to struggle.
They're disappearing. But
I'm taking Butler. I'm taking Butler to end their what is now a 22-game losing streak. I'm taking Butler to win a thriller, 28-24.
Emma's taking Butler. And my headphones in that order.
Yeah,
I'm going to take Butler as well. I think they learned a little bit last week that hey, we gotta show up ready to play no matter what. Last week is last week. This week's this week. We gotta treat each week like it's a new game. I think they were a little bit. Sorry. I think they were a little bit overconfident, as weird as it is to say after playing so well against Cathedral Prep that.
They were. I don't think there's any question about that. There's no question about that.
So I think now they're going to get a huge confidence boost this week against ERIE. I see them winning 28-21. Emma's picking them too.
All right.
Okay. All right. Let's go to our last segment. It is called What About? And let's talk about what about the first full week of sports. Obviously, this season has been weird. The fall sports starting a little bit late. We've got our first full weekend. John, what's your big takeaway from the first week of fall sports?
My biggest takeaway so far, I'm assuming this is not counting football. This is the other sports.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah. So I'm gonna go with Freeport volleyball. That they lost a ton from last year. They're playing a lot of freshmen, a young team, and they just keep on rolling. And if they're rolling now with these kids as freshmen and sophomores, I don't know when they're gonna have a down year in the volleyball. So, but my biggest takeaway is Freeport volleyball.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Freeport too. talked to Tom Phillips. In his 19 previous years of coaching, he only started 4 freshmen total. This year he's starting potentially 4 freshmen, but they're 4 really good freshmen, and he's got a great sophomore player. I also want to talk about CJ Singleton, the cross country runner for Butler.
Good one.
And the way he's off to a great start. He broke a course record this weekend. He's running sub 16 a minute times. He looks like somebody who is going to have a great season and chasing a WPIAL title, maybe even do something at state. So I want to talk about them. I also want to. Oh, hi. Yeah, I know. I also want to talk about our soccer.
She agreed with CJ Singleton. She agreed.
Yes, she likes CJ Singleton.
Mm-hmm.
And of course you have to talk about a little bit of soccer here. You got to talk about Mars girls soccer team. They're just picking up where they left off. They're just a machine. It's just so amazing to see just how year after year after year they keep winning and keep winning convincingly the way they're winning, and it's just amazing. They're kind of like Freeport in that way with volleyball, where they just keep reloading every year. Of course, they still have some experienced players from last year, but they always seem to find ways to dominate.
Yeah, one other note on soccer. You mentioned soccer. Butler boys and Butler girls.
Yeah.
Soccer, both off to great starts. They both have some star power. They both have solid defenses. They don't give up much. Look for both those teams to have a big year.
All right. Well, we lost Derek halfway through, but we gained a little booger here. So
we did.
That concludes this week.
Excellent. And we're coming in just under the wire time-wise, so good job. We will try to locate Derek floating in cyberspace somewhere. We'll try to get him back here in time.
Derek's disappearing like Emma. Oh.
All right.
All right. See you guys.
All right. See you all next week.
See you next week.